Hi, I'm Sam Sells, and welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. I like to say investing matters, and my show is to talk with everyday folks that are not only creating great success, but making an impact in society and improving the lives of others. That is my mission, and I want to share my stories and others with you. Welcome to Clean Money. Thank you for joining with us again today for another great episode of Clean Money, where we talk about making a difference in the world through our investments of time and resources. My guest today is an old friend of mine, Sean Chermer. We've known each other now for a few years, I guess, and coming from the same cloth. Sean, thank you for joining the show. And let me just introduce you, if that's okay. So, Sean is the founder and CEO of Patriot Family, REI, Real Estate Investment, and Patriot Family Capital, which PFC stands for Private First Class. Is that right? He has partnered with industry leaders through the acquisition and management of over $185 million in real assets. As a father, husband, and still current Army Lieutenant Colonel, Sean is dedicated to building on his 2 decades of global service through his leadership and vision. Patriot Family REI and Patriot Family Capital's mission is to lead and inspire others to accelerate their growth of wealth and prosperity through the acquisition of real estate assets to create a legacy for their family with positive impact to help others live their American dream. Sean, his lovely bride of 17 years, and their 3 children currently live outside of Birmingham, Alabama. Thank you, Sean, for joining the show. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Thank you, Sam. And in fact, I think when we first met, gosh, it is over 2 years ago down in Dallas, we realized that we had crossed paths on different continents.
Yeah.
In the African continent, when we were both active duty.
Yeah.
So I think that was Burkina Faso, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So running around within the military, it's a small community, and here we are. We served together down there in that country, and years later, here we are.
Yeah, that's it's amazing. So it's amazing how much we learned overseas doing these very, very simple but very complicated. Anytime you're doing something in Africa, it's just TIA. This is Africa. Things become inordinately difficult. Very, very simple things become very, very difficult. And applying those lessons to the day's life, we were just talking about some deals that have become very, very complicated because of issues with the lenders or lenders becoming insolvent or things that you would never expect. And what was cool, I thought, Sean, was you were just, this is what we're going through, and it's difficult, and no big drama about it. Like,
drive forward, drive on, just
drive on. Yeah,
adapt and overcome. Right. That's what we've learned, and we apply to daily life, especially the markets as of late.
Yeah. Sure. Crazy. So, man, tell us what you're working on right now. Well, first off, you retire here very, very shortly.
Month and a half. I am retired from the Army. Will be nearly 21 years of active duty service as a lieutenant colonel, retiring. I'm clearly on terminal leave right now with, I think we were discussing before, Sam, we want to grow the beard out. We both had the 3 phase of longer hair as well, but that's too much work. Grow the beard just because we can. When you have to shave every day, regardless of if you're on the base or not, you just have to have it on, because as officers, everyone's always watching.
That's right.
Just because we can.
Just because we can. Yeah.
But I'll be retired here in November, and looking forward to continuing this full-time venture through real estate. And really, we've been active for just over 2 years. Starting Patriot Family while stationed overseas in Stuttgart, Germany. I was the chief liaison officer for 1st Special Forces Command to AFRICOM and Special Operations Command Africa. And I really say that was a blessing because we were 6 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So you can get a full day's work in, come home, and still get a second full day's work in all within one day. And that was really amazing. And
Tony Robbins likes to talk about the second shift of
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely was following that model. And it's interesting. 3 days after I started Patriot Family is when I got the phone call from my commanding officer to go be the director of logistics for U.S. and NATO special operations to shut down the bases and get our equipment and guys out. We kept that going, kept the momentum going somewhat while deployed over there, and then stood up the terrorism over the horizon in Qatar, came home and said, I need to go to the States, jazz up my team, because as military guys, we know we're as good as our team and the people around us. And so just went back to the States. And then that's actually where I met you at my first real estate conference for Kingdom REI. Yeah. And I had only been out of country maybe a week by the time we met down in Dallas. Hugged my wife and kids and then said, I got to go.
Yeah. Our future is at stake.
Yeah, it is. So, and fast forward with our team, with Patriot Family REI, our first project was 16 doors, four fourplexes. Went ahead, we're able to buy that for $2.5 million. Closed it 69 days later at $3,080,000. Did the condo conversions, realizing how we can serve the local people in the economies where we're operating that had been priced out of the price of a home. So buying these multifamily and converting them to condos, we were giving them the opportunity to purchase their home where they grew up, where they wanted to live, and still be able to afford to put food on the table and gas in their vehicle. And really, we saw that was just seeing a need and filling a need, and then we grew on that, then closing on several more deals in Tennessee where we were at, amassing another 96 stores between 3 properties with Patriot Family REI, which is really our deal sponsor operator wing of Patriot Family. And then this past year, starting Patriot Family Capital as well, where we really went to partner with large operators, where we then got 376 doors, another 181 doors, 15 retail, GP and oil and gas, which is something I never would have thought that Lord would put in front of us, but he did through wonderful partnerships and the expertise that they brought with them. And it's just continued to grow from there and really just being blessed. I think when I always like to say, you have to have the faith to take the step, even though you don't see the staircase in front of you, and just having that faith to take the step and see what the path God's laid in front of you is. Once you have that, it's amazing what once you start to see and follow that path, where it will take you. And I'm looking forward to finding where it'll go. I think I know, as we like to plan, I like to plan and contingency plans, different courses of action. And we think we have our hands on it. And then we realize we don't. We're just trying to manage what God has given us and improve ourselves to be to be able to receive more. So, and really to that planning part, when we were talking about the market, my goodness, the lending and everything else that's going on right now.
It's insane. And for those who are listening, just a little bit of background on Sean and myself, having spent a lot of time going to the same places, doing similar things, myself as a medical planner and for Air Force Special Operations Command, and then Sean as a logistics planner, right? Logistics readiness planner. And so planning those missions and then executing those missions on continent, wherever that was, and ensuring that we can get these plans off the ground, executed, and then dealing with the most ridiculous issues ever, like just forever. And I have to say, if you've never been to Stuttgart, Germany, it's one of my favorite places on the planet. Been there so many times. to do, meet with other guys like you, Sean, and plan our next engagements and things that we were doing. And I do have to say, the picture you have on your bio, I know that's from Germany, and that's got to be Stuttgart.
It is. You got it. That's within a few weeks after I got back from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
The
Yeah.
background and what Sam's referring to is just the architecture of the older German buildings that have the stucco and the beams in between the stucco is just classic German.
Just
And
classic.
Stuttgart, if you haven't been, second largest Oktoberfest. It's the Volksfest there in Stuttgart, which is also the home of Mercedes and Porsche and
Yep.
Bosch. Great place to grow and live with the family. In fact, my oldest was born in Germany in our first tour over there, and we're glad to be stateside now. Though we do love it. We were the only American family in a small village, so really wanted to get in a neighborhood where my kids could go out and play with other kids and run around, have some good schools and ease of access, I guess you could say, of just everything that we have here in the United States. You don't realize it until you don't have it. So not taking it for granted.
So my daughter just, she enlisted in the Army. She went through basic training, boot camp, and yesterday arrived in Landstuhl as her first duty assignment.
Wow.
Almost 20 years to the day that my first duty assignment was at Rhine-Main as a young enlisted guy before I finished my degree and crossed over into becoming an officer. But
Landstuhl has a special place in my heart. I was medevaced out of Afghanistan in 2011 to Landstuhl. Just the amazing work that they do for everybody there. And I was blessed enough to I waived surgery and was back in continent with my company. I was a commander at the time, 69 days later as well. And finished that deployment. And then actually my third back surgery, and really that's what I kind of skipped over, was what led to real estate, actually. Third back surgery was Special Operations Task Force and on continent, North and West Africa. And I went out for a third time and went to Landstuhl, had surgery, in recovery, the worst one yet. And just praying, Lord, the Army and I are not wed forever. Clearly, I need to have life after this. What can I do? And that was really the genesis of it. Laying in bed, recovering, and found, it was the standard path. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and just opening up between podcasts, books, YouTube. And that's really what, fast forward and treatment, and then started the company. I got this, I'm moving forward. And then Army says, drop everything, go. And that's when I went to Afghanistan for the last time to shut it down. And really that gave me there's always a catalyst in your life to force you into a different direction. I think a lot of us we're comfortable. We have our day-to-day routines, our comfort levels. Unfortunately, a lot of folks don't branch outside of those comfort levels, and we need something to jolt us, to take us out of that and really expand ourselves, our growth, our mental, physical capacity, our influence. You talk about, doing good in the community and around for others, increasing your awareness of what's around you and what capacity you have to help others around you. And that's really been also a venture within Patriot Family, is to help expand our influence and our ability to help others around us. I mentioned the Tennessee properties. I can't tell you that, that was seeing a need, filling a need with converting them to condos so people can afford to own their own home. I mean, that's the quintessential American dream, which is why our hashtag is Live Your American Dream, and seeing that as something that's unique to the United States as opposed to around the rest of the world, where a lot of folks don't own where they live, and utilizing that. And I'd say, hey, live your American dream. And Sam, you've been all over the world, as have I. When I was at the Interagency Task Force, all around Central, South America, African continent, Europe, everywhere. The American dream is a global concept. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it holds maybe slightly different meanings to people in different regions. But that American dream is a global concept. And really, when you get out and you see that people want that, they thirst for that opportunity that we have here to achieve their best life. That's really what brought me in to have that as our phrase, live your American dream, and to help people do that. I mean, even if it comes down to, given the current economics, wages to inflation, people just really struggling to make ends meet, where we're working with our tenants, even just on payment plans. Come talk with us. Talk with us. If you can't afford it all right now, we're working with them. As long as they're working with us, we're working with them on payment plans. Don't want them to have to choose between food on the table or the roof over their head. Putting them in touch with different programs that are out there as far as assistance, housing assistance. COVID programs were going on I don't think they're still going on, but it wasn't until that long ago people could still get access to them in some of the areas we were operating. Yeah. So giving them the resources they need to continue to live until they can turn it around. So that's really, there's so many ways as we expand our influence that we can help people even beyond the monetary. And the monetary for me, me personally, is 25% of anything that I pay myself, we donate. And really, we're working with my wife, she honchos a lot of that, where we focus on children, our next generation. And a lot of that ties through the children to their more often than not, their mothers who have been in bad situations or don't even know how to take care of themselves, whether that's some shelters that help educate them, take care of them, get them on their feet, or other things to that effect. So really just trying to expand our influence. And that's through different groups, our mastermind that we're with, Kingdom REI, and the influence we can do, whether it's a member of C12 as well, working with different business owners and CEOs here in Birmingham, and just really trying to see what we can do. I think that's where you get the most reward, the most joy is through others. It's in the military, right? What got us up in the morning and running in front of that formation, to run that extra mile or two, was not because of me and my ego. It was because of everyone that's with me, that's pushing me to go further and harder than I could have by myself.
Absolutely. I have loved since the very beginning your passion for impact. That's what brought us into Kingdom REI, which is a faith-based, mastermind group, which is great. Ellis does a great job. He's very good at connecting and bringing in good people to come in there. And I remember just admiring the fact that you started the right way. Like I started the wrong way. Like I was, I had this team of former soft guys with me. We were doing this crazy 500 bed hospital rehab thing. And we just had to take it from concept to reality and then turn it over to regular folks who could keep it going. And, we're traveling back and forth to Korea all the time. And rather than going and joining something like Kingdom REI, where I got into a group of people all doing it, I just did it all myself, DIY. And because of that, I just made a lot of mistakes in the beginning that I paid for 2 or 3 years later. It's like you came in the right way. You got mentorship right off the bat. You had already read the books. You knew that that's where you wanted to go, but you did it the way that a good officer would have done it, period, which is, figure out the objective, figure out the experts, get those experts aligned, ask questions, and then go execute the mission. And, looking back at myself, thinking I was a DIY guy because I grew up as a DIY guy, and I'd been in all these roles where there was no other person that I could really reach out to and do stuff with, that I just had to figure it out myself. And so I relied on that, and it was wrong. So I saw you coming in. I'm like, man, Sean's going to be killing it because you came in, you were motivated, you were impact driven, you recognized God, and you were doing your best to follow the voice, the impressions that you got. And then you partnered with awesome people. Whitney Sewell, Aspen Funds, all these guys and folks that you partner with have been fantastic for your journey. And you've been able to do way more than you ever would have been able to do by yourself. Commercial real estate is a team sport.
Absolutely.
It's just a team sport. Unless your daddy can give you a small $10 million loan, it's really just a team sport, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, even through Kingdom REI, I mean, so I brought on, I'm not alone in these companies. I'm the founder and CEO of them all, but I have David, who I met through Kingdom REI, who's my partner with Patriot Family REI. I have Brad and Steve, who I got to tell you, the interesting thing on how they came into my life actually started from a decision I made as a freshman in high school to start going to a new youth group, which then provided for my family for decades. And then also brought these two wonderful gentlemen into my life to partner with Patriot Family Capital, where Brad has his own CPA firm and Steve is a wealth manager. So we have compliance and wealth management as well. And David in his own right has his foundation, has been mentoring people in real estate for, a decade. He teaches, is just a brilliant man. He does so much I can't even keep track of all the time. Yeah. And so bringing the people in to partner, because I would never want to go in, right? We never go in alone in the military. We always want to have, numbers, and we have our SMEs, our subject matter experts that we come alongside us. And we owe that to our investors, right, as well, to make sure that we have the best people around us to steward their investment possible. And that's what, I mean, it's tough right now. I mean, it is, we talked about, I'm going through some refinancing right now just to make sure we can follow Warren Buffett's rules, rule number 1 and rule number 2, to steward, protect that investment, don't lose your investors' money. And it's just amazing the environment we're in right now, where it's not only just rates, but it's terms that have really changed as well. People generally just see those rates, which I think if we go from a historical perspective, aren't that high. We've just been spoiled for a really long time. But terms have changed as well. I mean, you have prepayment penalties that are going out. I've seen that are 9, 10, 11, 12 years. Is that only for refi? Well, let's get further along and then we can discuss that. Can you just tell me now? Is that for sale refi? What are you talking about? I have to make sure the next guy takes uses you as well? So yeah, the terms are the other part of everything. They're making it difficult. And I have one apartment complex under contract, and we were just working with him more yesterday, every day, where terms he thought he had are not panning out. And we're giving him the P&L, the profit and loss. It's the souped up version of your T12, your trailing 12, everything we can, open kimono. This is all we've done trying to work with them. But the lending terms combined with the rates are just making it really tough for somebody who's even motivated to buy.
Yeah, agreed. I saw a term sheet yesterday or Monday, and then we had a call with a lender yesterday, and it wasn't the proceeds or the money that they were giving us. It wasn't that. The terms were what I vomited about on the calls. Like, is this legit? Like, do you really need us to have 50% of the loan at liquid? Like, why would I get a $10 million loan if I have $5 million in the bank, and I'm supposed to have $5 million in the bank the entire time of the loan, which is 1 year? And it's just, can we get that reduced? That's, normally it's 10%. That's the standard, 10%, which we've been able, stuff that we can abide by. All this extra stuff, just insane.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned, we talked a little before that why finance brokers, why I use brokers to really cut through all the muddled information out there, all the false advertising. we talked briefly before that there was this one lender that I was vetting that was ultimately, by every indicator, a bait and switch of amazing rates to lure you in and then get you to agree to an exclusive contract where you have to pay them regardless of who you go through. Anyway, that's why I love my brokers, my finance brokers who have those relationships with folks and can cut through and mediate between us as the customer and the lender as well, and help us speak their language to convey what we need and get us hopefully the best terms and rates possible. So, and that's really, speaking of brokers, I mean, we real estate brokers, finance brokers, insurance brokers, I mean, those are all part of the team in real estate that you need to have. One new that I was not aware of until recently is trash brokers.
Yeah, trash brokers.
They reached out, trash brokers. So now I've got there on my list is trash brokers.
Yeah. Yeah, we've used trash brokers before, and they've saved us money. Well, they're like, "Holy, this is fantastic!" Who knew?
Yeah, it's definitely something that there's just so many aspects. I mean, you think you're vertically integrating within your company and then you realize that there's another aspect that's still that expertise, and it's people you don't need all the time. But when you do need it, you want to make sure that the service is right, it's direct, it fills your needs, and you're not overpaying. So why not? I mean, and really just even financial wholesalers has become a thing. We've been interviewing financial wholesalers. The retail space of raising capital to invest, has really changed.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Some would say it's drying up. People, I'd say even our family offices that we deal with are pencils down until next year just to see what's happening. So these financial wholesalers that have these relationships with large investors, family offices, other hedge funds, entities that have the capital they're looking to deploy into, really it's just in times like these, we all want real assets, right? Not the fiat currency that can be expanded on in a second by one button push that, what does that fiat currency that's backed by nothing other than the U.S. military really mean? Especially, globally, Russia and China, working with other countries to reduce the influence of the dollar, which has really been reduced significantly over the years here. But that's real assets is what we play in.
Yeah, I know we could talk for a long time about global policy, having both been enactors of global policy, employed by global policy, having worked with foreign militaries, foreign governments, foreign presidents, foreign ambassadors, our own ambassadors, just on and on and on. I've got my master's degree in health policy, have a lot to say about all of that. Taking that global view and coming back to the States, and we see, because we're planners, we see these effects that aren't typically seen. And when we're, most folks are just concerned about, hey, I'm a real estate agent and I closed 60 deals last year, and this year I've closed 4. Because everybody's quitting in the middle of the transactions, or lenders initially said approved, and then when it comes time to pony up the cash, they say not approved, and deals are falling apart. It's remarkable what's happening in the world right now that we're not talking about or dealing with, and it doesn't bode well for the future.
Wow. That's very, I mean, to that where people just see the effect and not even tracing the effect back to the cause, the why. And really if that's not immediate in the short term, we have to think long term. And often to find how that effect came to be, you got to go back. It's not something that happened last week, last month, something that's been building and compounding, whether it's geopolitical and what Sam's talking about with policy. I mean, where we operated in one of my previous jobs at the interagency, I was regularly briefing, congressmen from the Senate, House of Representatives, ambassadors from all over the world, DOJ, from the executive branch, even we had the president himself come on down. So, I mean, it's really being able to see from that policy level and then bringing it all the way down to the operational level and pulling that ties from the policy to the operational and then down to that tactical level of execution. In the world we operated in within special operations for years, you have things that can happen at the tactical level that would impact all the way straight back up to the political level. Now that's just taking a myopic view of it, but the things around the world and the influences, and as the world shrinks with technology, and some people would say the decline of America. I'm always long on America and continue to fight for this unique experiment of the United States of America. Just we have to remember our sovereignty and what made America great, and and continue to stay resolute on that path. But it is things globally having the effect, monetary policy, we were, to get back to real estate, I was looking at an article that was published on the 17th. Where the foreclosure numbers, up from this time last year, 38%. I think just from last month, 24%. So starting to see a lot of that. And as entrepreneurs ourselves, figuring out we're nimble enough, small enough to adjust quickly. Something we're working on right now is how can we help those people that are in pre-foreclosure, that are at risk for ruining their credit score for a decade, not being able to purchase anything, where we can come in and, pay their arrears and help them get out of that situation. And then where we have a house property with equity and then able to pass that on to a buyer where they're still getting a great deal as well and can make money. So we find that win-win-win scenario. But again, just another effect versus cause and effect, just another outcome and an effect of the reality we live in at the moment. I hope it's only fleeting and not around forever, but we'll do our part.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of strain on the lower socioeconomic class. It just hasn't hit. Hasn't hit in such big numbers that it's been reported on. And really any report that hits the market from any one of the institutes that study these things, those reports, that stuff is 90 days old or more. So what's happening today will be reported on in January. And then people will say, oh my goodness, what happened? Yeah, it happened 3 months ago and now we're worse. And so we've been seeing anecdotally across our Class C portfolio, we're seeing more and more residents struggle to pay rents. And if the local government is good, we can get them, assistance. If there are local nonprofits, we can get them assistance. Some governments, local governments like Memphis, no offense, you guys are terrible at Section 8. It's terrible. It's embarrassing. Their program and how they employ it and how they run it. Typical government bureaucracy, nobody gives a crap if it works. Other places, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Las Vegas, Nevada, fantastic. They are out there. They want to help their people, and that helps us keep our people, like you were talking about. You were talking about before, is keeping our residents in their homes so that they can focus on, bouncing back from losing their job. So they can focus on, they just got diagnosed with cancer and they got fired from their job because now they can't go to their job anymore because their health isn't good. Helping them bounce back, get back on their feet again and move, because righteous stewards, good stewards of our properties, right? We take care of our people take care of us.
Yeah.
Don't tell that to a New York banker because they just want the dollar bills and they don't care about whatever else, but that's what we're doing.
I think that's very a fantastic indicator. You use the same language I like to use, where we didn't say tenants, we said our residents,
Mhm.
and then home, and that linkage, that's their residence, that is their home, that is their sanctuary. That is the stability, sometimes maybe the only stability in someone's life at that time, is having that place to go to. So I think that's very important what you were saying as far as residents versus like tenants, and that their home versus, the apartment, or, the trailer, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
so, yeah, that's just indicative of the outlook that we share on what it is we do.
well, Sean, this has been a fantastic discussion. I know people will be interested in what you do. They should be. What you're doing is exactly the right thing. Real assets, regardless of how the market is, if you're holding on to those assets, you have good debt, you can weather this storm and keep moving on. I was able to weather the 2008 crisis with our real estate because it was positive cash flow, right? As long as you can get it into the positive cash flow territory and keep it there, you can weather any storm that comes at us, which is not what I mean. Stocks, nothing else provides that security. But a positive cash flowing asset that you can keep and maintain can take on pretty much anything that the world can throw at it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I want to go back to one thing, Sam. You mentioned I'd done it the right way, maybe largely still taking lumps, but I got to tell you, meeting you for the first time over 2 years ago in Dallas,
Yeah.
as somebody that was led the track, and you had the beard then as a previous military. And then we found out there we had both been in Burkina Faso in the special ops world for a while as retired officer. And then like, wow, Sam's doing it. And this was my introduction, and like, Sam's doing it. Like, that really helped me to see someone else who had been in my situation, doing all around the world and things we've done, is achieving what I want to achieve. And then we saw each other again. I think it was Columbia, South Carolina, with
Yeah.
Dan Hanford and
Yeah.
PassiveInvesting.com, and where they hosted us there. And you were breaking away to make deals. You were on the phone with your team. You were closing another deal. I'm like, man, I can't wait to get to where Sam's at. That's where I want to be. We're coming from the same. I'm just coming up. He's
Yeah.
forging for me. So I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you, and what you had done and helped inspire me as well. With any doubt, just renewing that faith that it can be done.
It can be done, and we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to go out there and take that step. Um, we have to take that step into the unknown, and bring the light with us so that we can see. Sean, thank you so much for being on the call today. How can folks who are listening to this, how can they find you?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Our website, patriotfamilyrei.com or patriotfamilycapital.com. There's a link in there. You can reach out to us. I am on LinkedIn as well. I'm not as active on social media as I should be. So if it takes a little time to get back to you, please bear with me. I'm also on Facebook as well. So you can find me at Sean Chermer on LinkedIn and Facebook. That's Chermer. And please feel free to reach out. I'd love to work with whoever shares our mission. And that's really where we align. It's not transactional, it's relationships, because in this business, we're working together for a long time. So if we got to have a relationship and align and believe in what we're doing and fortifying our families and our community to grow wealth through real assets.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the show today. I love the impact that you're having. Man, the impact you've had in your own life has been incredible. And just a reminder that we all can do this, right? You started, you had nothing to
Overseas.
yeah, overseas, living the good life, eating happy hippos and,
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Wiener Schnitzel and
yeah, and going to the Volksfest, which was fantastic, by the way. All right. Thank you for joining the call. And man, so good to talk to you again, Sean.
Absolutely. Take care, Sam.
Thank you for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We are passionate about creating great investment returns to investors who want to use their money to make a positive social impact in the world. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review. And if you are interested in making your investing matter, please connect with us at wildmountaincapital.com, or you can find me, Samuel Sells, on LinkedIn, on Twitter at Sells_Samuel, on Instagram at Clean Money Sam, or on Facebook. And finally, make your investing matter.